it is fair to say that RPG Maker gave us some great games in the last few years. Let's think for example of RPGs such as Omori or Seraphic Blue. Yeah, those were great titles, but what about if you're looking for something with a more, let's say, European feel to it? Well, leave it to Jozef Pavelka, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that incorrectly, but okay, and his game Felvidek, to give us an experience which feels definitely more unique. What the author defines as a JRPG set in 15th century Slovakia, we control the surly and angry knight Pavel. The story opens with us sadly drinking at a table while trying to get over the fact that our wife ran away, and we are pretty sure she's also consorting with other men. While this is going on, in the background the local castle just explodes, so Pavel takes his best weapon and takes off to check out what happened. And yes, he does remind everyone that his wife just left him, because apparently that's his whole character. From there, our adventure takes us through the nearby towns, forests and caves to find out what is going on not only with our wife, of course, but also with some weird monsters and people that seem to be behaving not quite correctly. For example, there's a priest that has been known to visit the local brothel every once in a while, so we need to straighten him out and, yes, get him back to his more orderly ways, let's say. In classic RPG Maker fashion, the game lets us explore each location, interacting with several objects where you can get a description or some extra items that you might need. It is possible to wear a lot of different equipment, get extra party members, and of course, in RPG Maker fashion, we get first-person turn-based battles. So I wouldn't say that combat is a big focus in Felvidek, but still it is combat, it is serious, so you better be prepared because there are some tough fights here. So yes, those fights make up an important chunk of gameplay, and the game is also pretty short, so depending on how successful you are at those fights, the game might be shorter or longer, but yeah, save early, save often as one would say, because you will die for sure. Anyway, Pavel and friends will have to fight against other knights, and some quite scary demon spawns as well. Along with the classic melee attack with a sword, you have special feints, which we can just define as the classic special attacks that require the use of tools, which you can basically just describe as the classic mana points. Health points and tool points, I guess, can be restored by using items, sleeping or visiting a church. Or also watching Tool Time, if you want to, but nah, that's not really a thing.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Overall, Felvidek brings a very good balance of both weird conversations, strange characters, and some, disquieting events, along with the unique atmosphere of 15th century Slovakia. Despite being quite short, Felvidek bridges the gap beautifully between professional games and amateur titles, because it's been made with a lot of passion and a lot of knowledge about the atmosphere that the game wants to recreate. While I'm not 100% sure how much Czech was left intentionally in the dialogues, it just seems to randomly appear sometimes, and yes, some of it was a bug apparently, but yeah, random Czech words also work greatly for a full-on immersion in a language that obviously sounds quite distant from classic English, and it does give characters their charm as well. Of course, this can also work as a kind of crash course in learning some classic Czech swearing, and by classic I mean, I guess, medieval Czech swearing. I'm not an expert on Czech swearing, I have to say, but yeah, the dialogue is pretty fun and the whole atmosphere is unique and great, and for a short 2-3 hours experience, depending on how much time you're using in the fights, this is a great bang for your buck. So, Felvidek is a very unique experience, and I'm sure it will scratch a very specific itch that some of you might have. For example, did you ever wish to play a more RPG isometric take on the sort of monochromatic horror that games such as Mondown seem to aim for? So you want something that's a little bit more RPG, a little bit more fun? Yeah, Felvidek is for you. And despite the mechanics being, quite classic, so there's nothing that you haven't seen before, the strange dialogues and situations that seem to be right out of an Eastern European folktale have great potential to find an audience. So, I'm scoring this 8 out of 10. This is a great little RPG experience, unique and rewarding in its own right, and I definitely wish to see more of this in the future.